No, you probably have to unravel our season a little bit and just put it in perspective. I think we were hanging on a little bit. There's a bit of number 8 wire and a lot of glue with the amount of injuries we had, and we were just having holes during each game where we weren't able to be as accurate as we needed to be. Today, they play well. They got themselves out of a situation and then put us under pressure in the last couple of overs. But it was still a good score. We were happy with 185, I think, was a pass score on that surface. But we just came off a little bit flat after the one over. And it's a real shame because Sapona's been outstanding for us. And he just had a really tough day at the office. But he has come in and held us together. So I was really disappointed for him because he's been really good. We had a chance, but we were just sloppy again with the bat. We needed the bigger boys to stand up and get the 75 plus. And lead the way, and unfortunately we just gave wickets away too easily and too often. So it's a pretty simple formula of losing. But I won't say proud, but I'm satisfied with how we hung together in what's been a pretty tough season. And you don't envisage the amount of change that we've had. Certainly in the squads I've worked with before, we haven't been decimated like this. But guys have come in and stepped up and gave us the opportunity today, but I think the result's probably a fair reflection where the team's at and where the other 3 teams are at that are still in the finals.
Hi Stephen, I think we asked you in the Western Cape about the bowling injuries, but how much of this campaign and the results would you put down to injuries and squad changes, and how much to some of your other criticisms like batters not adapting?
It played a big part. I hate looking for excuses, but the turnover was high. If you look at our squad when we first put it all together, it was very strong with South African bowling and overseas batting, and then would have been throughout the middle with David Visa and Jones in the middle. So with good spinning options. Look, it's not the only reason. You do have to adapt. It is part of franchise cricket, but we just weren't able to settle enough. And I take some responsibility with that as well, as we're trying to find the team that's going to take us forward. The right batting order. We have different conditions in Joburg to the sea coast, so you're chopping and changing, and the whole thing just felt a little bit confused. I think when we talked in Cape Town, we had to settle and get something in order, but we just weren't good enough. And today we were a bit frantic with the bat, and we've been looking for calmness, and we were anything but.
Given that you said 185 was par, I guess that might answer the question, but there were a few sort of eyebrows raised about Luther having gone for 33 in his first 2 and then coming back when there were other bowling options obviously available. But
what were the other options? Jones.
No,
to be fair, Luther had done a great job for us, so I back-capped the FAF's decision on that. He had been outstanding both at the top and at the death, so there was no reason. It can happen the first part of the innings, and the wicket was flat betting and played well, but you've still got to back your form horse, and he had been that. So I backed that decision. They just played him really well. He could have tried a few more things, and he will reflect on that, what he could have done better, but the rise that he's had during this tournament, I've got nothing but compliments for him.
Stephen, Joburg's got pretty close, in each tournament, this competition. I wonder, do you worry about the guys who've been part of all 3, and been part of the disappointment at all 3 times, or is there enough time between tournaments for them to get over it?
I think there's enough time, and I think the players play enough cricket these days that they bounce pretty quickly to the next challenge. I think for a coach it probably dwells a little bit longer. The scars are a bit deeper, but we haven't quite got it right. Whether it's drafting or selections or trying to get overseas players, there's some good challenges around this tournament with the amount of cricket that's played at the same time. We've come close, you're right, but close is not good enough for this franchise. So there is pressure on going forward to make sure that I think in this next rotation, which is going to see some change, that we get it right. The other thing, we haven't really come to grips. Our record's not bad, but we haven't come to grips with what our home conditions are. We've had a turning track, we've had slow, we've had quick. So getting an understanding of that and shaping your team around home conditions, Pal have done that really well, is quite an important aspect. And we haven't quite got to grips with that. But our record belies that statement because it's been okay in Joburg. Yeah.
Stephen, can I just get your overall impression of this third season compared to the first couple? Any better? Is it worse? What improvements, what challenges are there for it?
Oh, I think it's great. Yeah, I think it's outstanding. The only thing I bemoan a little bit is the amount of players, international players, that are taken out in other tournaments. It would be great to have a bigger range of overseas players to pick from. But from a local point of view, you can see the development of players, and even JP King today, he wasn't in our plans, but through injuries and the way he's trained, he got an opportunity. So if that kick-starts his career, then developing players for the future. So Pamela, again, developing players for the future, you're getting a big tick in terms of the purpose of the tournament. And I reckon that's a major word, a really important word for tournaments going forward. What is their purpose? And if it's developing local players in a domestic competition, then I'm all for it. And this certainly does that. There can be some tweaks. It's a pretty heavy schedule back to back to back to back. But I know that everything is time challenged these days. So that's something that we just have to live with. But I'd love to have a couple more days to freshen up the players and enjoy the country a bit more as well, which is very hospitable.
And then one last question.
Stephen, just on the tournament as a whole, are you surprised by the amount of purchase and turn that spinners have got?
Amount of what, sorry?
The turn that spinners have got and the amount of time, that they play. Like Parloids, for instance, more 20 overs of spin the other night.
Yeah, that was unique, wasn't it? But if they find an advantage at home playing that way, I do have a problem with bonus points. Yep, I'll get that out there. We've always been against it. I think under-prepared or challenging wickets promote more bonus points. I think run rate is a fair reflection of your consistency throughout the tournament. I don't think you have to tinker with that. So it becomes chance rather than a consistent performance throughout the tournament. But it is what it is, and if you get a formula that is challenging and get on the right side of it, players like Joe Root, who I thought was magnificent in his problem solving, which was a good article, whoever wrote that, was that you? Yeah, it's a good article, was excellent. So, yeah, as I say, you've got to own your home space. Maybe make it too one-sided, but certainly own your own space. And I don't mind if you've got a spin-friendly area, then a seam area, because again, it develops players for different conditions. The greatest challenge of the game at the moment is players have become one-dimensional. They've got amazing power, but their ability to problem solve like Root and work their way out of trouble is becoming more limited as they play less first-class cricket. So the challenge for coaches is to actually add a little bit of defence, but also game sense. And I think that's one great challenge for the game going forward.